One thing Malachus had learned about humans during his long lifespan. It was that they were first and foremost thieves. They stole anything and everything, nailed down or not, from jewels and livestock to women and children. And if battlefields and graves were any true indicators, the dead were no more safe from their larceny than the living. The Sarmatian monks who'd fostered him as a child never truly prepared him for the scope of humanity's predation upon itself. Though human as well, the monks lived isolated from the depredations of the so-called civilized. Malachus never forgot the grief on their faces, the horror at discovering their sacred necropolis destroyed beyond repair by treasure-seekers. It was his first real taste of humanity as a whole, and he found it revolting. It was also the impetus for him to become a sought-after bounty hunter, with a reputation feared throughout Winosia's prefectures. His martial training, combined with his true nature, gave him an edge, one that made grave robbers and slavers question whether pursuing their professions was worth the risk of becoming the quarry in his hunt. This hunt was different, more personal, and his prey far wilier than he'd anticipated, slipping through his fingers countless times over numerous leagues and a treacherous sea. Either they possessed extraordinary luck, or they knew what he was, and how to outmaneuver him. Now, far away in an unfamiliar country, Malachus's luck had run dry. The pair possessed a treasure he would move mountains to regain, and they had fled across the Raglan Sea to these lands. The ship Malachus had sailed on to follow them had almost caught up to theirs, the mother bond calling to his soul with a war drum's beat. But fickle gods had churned the waters into a raging cauldron and flung his ship far off course. An experienced captain and crew had saved the ship and those on board, sailing the beaten vessel into harbour with broken masts and ripped sails. Malachus's quarry had long since vanished into the interior, moving westward. He'd managed to track them from the coast to this forest, guided by the internal beacon connecting him to the artifact he hunted. His mother bond, which was all that remained of his mother, his birthright, and his ability to reclaim his true heritage. Malachus stood at the tree line and gazed upon the fields before him that stretched to the base of the distant black-striped mountains. A wide road snaked towards a miasma of dust in the distance, a steady stream of wagon and foot traffic travelling its length. According to those he'd spoken with when he first came ashore, a great market, promising all manners of goods available for sale, had sprung up where once a Kraelian garrison had stood. He suspected his prey was there. He stabbed the damp earth in front of him with the point of his sword, wishing it was the belly of one or both of the thieves. He needed that mother bond. Nothing more than a bit of bone at first glance, its value lay far beyond anything the pair might get from a buyer. After 400 years of imprisonment in a human body, kept quiet by magic, his true form had grown restless, a dangerous prisoner, and a fatal one if he didn't set it loose in time. Even now, the force of his inevitable transformation surged through his bones and muscles, making the veins in his arms and neck bulge at times, and his head throb. It was certain that he'd have to slough off his human guise and embrace the draga one. Ignoring that imperative guaranteed death, he needed the mother bond to safely initiate that change. At his patient mare's inquiring whicker, he turned. She waffled a second time when he stroked her neck. "They're close, Betraza," he told the horse, "likely trying to pawn what they pilfered."